What was your school's huge scandal? In middle school, we had some rumors spread around that a certain gym teacher, Mrs. J, was peeping on girls undressing. These rumors spread and got pretty vicious. People started saying that Mrs. J tried to get girls alone in the locker room and had a type that she'd go after. We had a school-wide assembly where the principal berated the students for spreading these unsubstantiated rumors and how hurtful and disrespectful it was to Mrs. J and our teachers. 2 years later, Mrs. J was arrested for molesting 3 girls that year alone. Many other former students came out about similar experiences, some dating back 15+ years prior to her arrest. Edit. Clarification. Edit 2. Stop asking if this was in your state city. I'm not telling you. I mean, I don't know if this counts, but one of our prefects got caught drinking in a bar. Legally, in regular clothes. I know, how could he? And because of that the school took away his badge, and so in protest all our prefects lined up in front of the principal's office and handed in their badges. It was chaos, a contest of chicken between the school and the student leaders, and in the end the school blinked first and gave everyone back their badges. Edit. This did a bit better than I was expecting. We had a ban on bringing our own bottles to school and could only purchase drinks from the school store because there was an alcohol problem. Kids would come to school with pretty much anything they could get their hands on and would start drinking in first period. One day, before the ban, they did a sweep in first period and had everyone open their water bottles and check what was inside. I think there were over 50 kids caught that day. We also had a problem with opioids. Ambulances were there at least twice a year to get someone that overdosed in the gym. Someone found an empty lube container in a couch in a classroom that was generally open. They got rid of the couch. A kid also drove a dirt bike through the halls and got arrested. After a snowfall I quickly gathered my squad of friends and made boulder-sized snowballs. Then we placed them so if you looked out from the upper windows it was a big penis. Even got 2 teachers to help who just wanted to connect with us. They didn't realize what they had assisted with until the entire teacher faculty poured out from the building like angry wasps. Principal had an affair with my AP Chem teacher. The school board came down hard on the teacher, and she was suspended for most of the year, which sucked because none of us passed the test. Principal got a slap on the wrist, though he ended up quitting at the end of the year. In the space of 3 years, my former high school in a very wealthy, white, and rural area churned out the scandals. The 60-year-old PE teacher was arrested for a sexual relationship with a 15-year-old, served 5 years in prison. He was caught physically mailing nude photos of himself to an underage student's house, which the student's parents intercepted. The history teacher was arrested when a cop pulled him and one of his students over, found drugs in the car and they were both high. Turns out he was supplying coke to students. He had to serve a decent chunk of time. The 40-plus-year-old volleyball coach married one of his players the second she turned 18 and no one did anything when they were dating, when she was 15/16. Our principal's son was mentally ill. One night, they were all gathered in the school office. Son comes in with a grenade in his hand because of family issues. Police were called and only 2 police officers arrived. After police 1 and 2 arrived, some more policemen came by. The late policeman wrongly identified police 1 and shot him, mistakenly thinking he was the mentally ill son with the grenade. Police 1 happens to be a father of 2 children. Those 2 study in our school. Police 1 is dead now because of blood loss and the mentally ill son is now in jail. Those 2 kids get free tuition from the school since they effed up big time. Guy got blown by his girlfriend in the floor of the biology section. Both 16 to 17. The floor was completely surrounded by glass. Even the top. You could see everything in it from every direction. There was just no place to hide. Our new high-tech library with fancy full glass front was like 5 meters in front of it. So someone eventually saw it. And X200B. Didn't got into much trouble, though. Since this happened in probably the most liberal area in Germany, our head of biology just gave them a VIP talk about the bees and birds, and some condoms. Boys' dean got caught with a girl in his office. She was 17. It's the reason that office now has a window in the door. Some kids climbed on the roof and a boy sprayed, "Just one kiss," on the side of the building in big letters cause he was in unrequited love. The school board thought it was a courageous gesture and left it up. For years. Possibly forever, cause it was up for the entire 6 years I went to school there. Guy and his girlfriend lure a 10th grader to the school after hours. They are on acid and pretend to be natural-born killers and hold her down and stab her 11 times. My friend finds her body opening the window in math class the morning after. This was 25 years ago and she is out of jail and back around the community. The guy is still in jail, I believe. Edit number of times the poor girl was stabbed. After the school closed down, a bunch of students came out saying the English teacher and her husband frequently sexually assaulted students. Both male and female. A letter was written to the prosecutor's office and everything. There's been countless stories that have come out about it. In high school we had a long-term substitute teacher. She gave a student Xanax and had sex with him. He had proof of it in his phone, so she gave another student a gun to go rob him and take his phone to delete the evidence. She got arrested. Update. Yes, I know it was rape. I wrote it 2 minutes before O went into work, so I wasn't focused on the wording, and whether it was a male or female student I would have worded it the same. At our high school a dude was caught wanking in the back of class, multiple times. And then a school nearby had a student kill themselves in the commons on the day of their football matchup versus us. The game was supposed to be at their school, but they moved it to ours because of all the police stuff. We were on an undefeated season and weren't gonna lose, but we all felt really bad about winning. There were a couple of kids from our school that made jokes that the other student killed himself because he was afraid of facing our football team. Needless to say, they were quickly sorted out. This was like a year or two after Columbine. One kid that was smart, AP classes, band and overall nerd with a bright future decided to do a dumbass bomb threat. He wrote on a piece of paper "bomb in room" and put it against the window. Ruined his life. Saw him years later and he was working min wage or maybe slightly over. Didn't graduate high school and was working on his GED. Oh, my senior year we had a freshman that knocked up multiple girls. They took him on Maury and he was the father. We legitimately had 21 Jump Street at my school. 2 undercover cops, a guy with a mohawk and a normally looking girl, went to the high school with us for an entire school year, and at the end of the year arrested over 20 kids in drug-related charges. One of my friends got arrested 16 for introducing one of the cops to a dealer. Called himself a broker lol. Girl got super drunk at a party and someone videoed guys raping her. Spread via Bluetooth. In my school, one of the students got kicked out of class 109 times but was still allowed to be in charge of the student newspaper. Not a scandal per se, but it turned out that our all-weather pitch was built on a famine pit. The school was built on the grounds of a famine workhouse. So whoops. But they just put up a monument and continued to use the pitch. Oh, actually, one of the geography teachers locked a student in a cupboard for the duration of his class as punishment for something. And the real scandal is that nothing happened to the teacher. He was truly awful. I had him for 3 years and he used to smoke cigars out the window and play poker with some of the students. I wish I was joking. But it's almost impossible to fire a teacher. 7th grader trading sex for heroin. IDK if this counts, but 2 students at my school made a sex tape and the video spread like crazy. Everyone watched it and some people would watch it at school with friends like WTF. The teachers had to keep telling students that it was illegal to have the video and if we got caught sending it to others we'd be in serious trouble. A geography teacher caught a history teacher banging his wife in the school library. The history teacher was his best man at the wedding. Also, a PE teacher threw a janitor through a door during class. It is regarded as one of the best schools in my country. One of the teachers thought she was all that, and used to go out clubbing every weekend alongside many of the students from the school's 6th form, UK, age 17 to 18. Suddenly one week she started giving everyone the cold shoulder. Turned out she'd had a screaming fit at the club that weekend when she found her boyfriend snugging one of her students. Not sure if anyone remembers this on the news about 5 years ago. UK teacher was real life Breaking Bad. Meth lab in the basement claiming it was a friend's. A history teacher was caught pleasuring himself under his desk to a class full of 6th formers. Welsh teacher was selling weed out of her classroom too. Underfunded education, ha ha ha. I guess this is one since it made the regional news. Was that a French teacher had vocabulary test where you would stand by the closed classroom door and he would quiz you on the repeated French vocabulary errors you made. If made the mistake again, he would lightly underhand toss a volleyball at the back of your head. A student had recorded on their phone, and once a parent found out, they went straight to the news. I know my mom started freaking out, and my older brother said yes, he remembers it, and it apparently improved vocabulary and grammar. There was some teacher visiting our school who thought it was a smart plan to educate kids, 15, 16, 17-ish, on drugs. It was actually a smart plan, except for that he took a suitcase with the actual drugs with him. I don't know the full story because I didn't attend that lecture. What I do know though, is that a bag of actual cocaine was stolen from that suitcase. There was a whole manhunt going on for the person who had stolen it, but they never found who stole it or the cocaine. A girl killed herself, and school tried hiding it. The phys. ed. teacher, basketball coach, M, began an affair with the English teacher, F, his first year as coach. She left her husband. He only lasted 1 year. Another English teacher left her husband, the metal shop teacher, for the girl's phys. ed. teacher, F. They moved in together just down the street from where I lived. An 11th grade student, M, got the algebra teacher pregnant. Mind you, this all happened in the same year. Oh, those gloriously wicked 70s. We had a guy that would go into the bathrooms and smear his poop all over the walls and jerk off on all of the toilet paper. He'd destroy any bathroom that he went into, and we wouldn't be able to use it for a couple of days. Our principal would get on the loudspeakers at school and announce that the poopatrator has struck again, and tell us what bathroom not to use. This lasted for about 3 weeks. It was this 6'7" goth of a giant, probably weighing 350+ pounds. He finally got caught in the act and had a chase through the entire school, running through the lunch room, down to the gym, just knocking anybody over who tried to get in his way. The football coach was finally able to tackle him after he sprinted through the school with shit on his hands for 15+ minutes. Our high school band teacher had a secret affair with one of the students, and it wasn't found out about until the year after she graduated. They spent a lot of energy investigating when exactly their relationship started. A lot of us in band and orchestra were aware something was going on her senior year, but it was a shock to the community when he was put on leave and the news broke. She had also dated his son prior, who attended the same school and was in my grade. It was very painful for him. I think they got married, but he's still a predator in my book. Haven't kept up with it since. High school assistant coach fooled around with the goalie on the girls' soccer team. Source: was the goalie on the girls' soccer team. Take your pick. The music teacher, B.J. Jones, killed himself after being arrested for being a pedo. A kid killed his dad with a hammer. The school ski trip was cancelled after one of the instructors was caught fucking another teacher in a classroom the day before departure. This one made the national press. One of the twins was pregnant at 16. A girl was killed walking home from the rugby club, lead to a proper footpath being fitted. We've had 2 major ones. A science teacher was a terrorist from Zimbabwe, and a music teacher, female, slept with a 6th former. The first one is a tad more extreme, lol. Also, I go to a Christian school, Tears of Joy. In middle school, we had this older male teacher. He was known for being a photographer in his free time, but there were rumors that he also made some naked pictures of women, girls. According to older grades, he once asked a girl in the school if she was down to make some spicy pictures, IDK if this actually happened, but the same teacher was suspended for 2 years due to personal reasons or SMTH, according to the older students. I had biology with him in 8th grade, and the dude was really kind and friendly. The principal of the middle school I attended had his office raided by my hometown's vice squad for selling meth under the guise of parent conferences. Rumor has it when the breacher kicked in the door, the principal had his pants around his ankles, was engaging with himself, and had a marital aid where the sun don't shine. The gym was called The Rock. Showed up one morning and the R was replaced with a C. This was on a huge gym, so it took some time to take down. Good one. Oh, so many. There was a race war for a bit between the Hmong students and rednecks, to the point school got cancelled one day a fight was going to happen. A match teacher married a former student and athlete he coached soon after she turned 18. A kid drove his car through the wall in the cafeteria. A mysterious fire started and killed all the animals in the animal science classroom. We couldn't wear coats, but the classrooms were in the low 60s during the winter. After all the classrooms were using colder towels to trick the thermostat, they let us wear coats. In high school the boys' wrestling team was caught hazing each other. Lots of butt stuff for some reason. After making the state news they required teachers to stand in the locker rooms and watch the team shower. Lots of ringworm that year lol. Bonus story. High school group of guys were sharing nudes and compiling them like baseball cards. After they got to like 45 plus the house of cards toppled. About 12 were seriously reprimanded but not expelled. All athletes and honors students. The ring leader was the son of a well-known surgeon who liked to tell other Asian parents not to let their kids hang out with me because I was a troublemaker. That may be so Dr. H. But at least I wasn't soliciting child pornography. It was actually my fault. When I was 11 I was just known as the quiet kid who was good at drawing, but another kid offered me money to make hentai for him and I accepted, and eventually I got more customers as he told several other people, and eventually it grew into a small underground market of hentai, but word of it got out a little bit too much and eventually someone told the principal and I was caught. Catholic high school, small town Ohio. High school wrestling coach and history teacher male, secretly nailing students female, while peddling cocaine to staff and students alike. Basketball coach indicted for embezzling escrow funds from his real estate and title firm for betting in Atlantic City. Moved to CA, high school chem teacher busted. Was major NorCal LSD producer. I walked in on my teacher hardcore making out with the principal. It was disgusting and really traumatized me. I was homeschooled. Our high school biology teacher was recently arrested for solicitation of a minor. He DM'd her saying that he needed her body. It was super creepy. When our headmaster, who'd pretty much started our private school from scratch 25 years earlier, was arrested for embezzlement. The way they explained it was, there'd been some disorganization in the paperwork. However, our headmaster taught the advanced math class, so there's no way he would mess up the numbers on his paperwork consistently. At least not without actively trying to. Backstory. There was this kid who I saw get pushed into my lunch table. I yell and the two bullies ran while the teacher took notice, but never met them so I couldn't ID them. Fast forward. I believe it was a basketball or some other male sport, but when they ran out of the locker room everyone noticed we were a player short. Someone decides to investigate and discover the same bullied kid crying. Turns out the whole team, which includes the bullies, has sexually assaulted him. Only 2 were sent hauled off, but only to jail. Short sentence from the average time even for juvie. We had to forfeit as well, and surprisingly they tried to cover that up too, even though news stations was there to show off each high school starting game. Surprisingly it worked and everyone forgotten or just kept quiet. 2 elementary age kids got in a fight on the school bus. The dad of one went to the Waffle House and shot the other dad. A teacher had an affair with one or more his underage students. Happened twice. 2 different schools. 2 different teachers. When looking at my school's website it referred to Google Maps, where when you clicked on the link you saw 2 huge penises on the roof of the school. What happened was that my school had small pebbles on the roof. Some students climbed up and gently pushed the pebbles aside to from 2 huge penises. Shortly before the school got renovated it was in newspaper with the title, "Penis Drawing on School Building Discovered." I have a screenshot of the newspaper article where you can also see the penises. Penises on school. Meth. But it broke into the news a couple years after I graduated. It was absolutely hilarious. The students all knew about how many kids were on it. We didn't even pretend to keep it secret, but nobody gave a shit right up until some rich kid OD'd. Several poor redneck kids had been shot, but nobody cared. Then everyone lost their fucking minds, howling and wailing, "How could we have known?" As if we hadn't been telling them for years. I went to a Catholic school. My 6th grade homeroom teacher was a guy in his late 40s, early 50s. Classmates once told me they saw him looking at my ass. The next year we got a letter in the mail saying he was arrested for trying to meet up with an underage girl he was talking to online. Sad part was he was married and had 2 daughters around that age. Star football player was caught getting a blowjob from a freshman. In his dad's classroom. He was still able to participate in the next game.